Welcome into this episode of The Big Hit. It will be the last one this semester. I am Vaughn Delzell, and this is Kelsey Howe alongside me. We will be on the Red Zone recap today. We have our mock draft ready for the NFL draft this Thursday. We will have Cody Benjamin and Dimitri Jordan alongside us in the other studio, breaking down our picks, making us look very better than what we really are. Then later on the show, we'll have Josh Hill alongside 10 of our seniors that we will miss very dearly. We will be sending them off this year. And starting off with the Red Zone recap. Are you ready, Kelsey?
I am.
All right, first pick of the draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They've had this pick for 214 days. Who do they pick?
I think they're getting Jameis Winston because he is the best prospect available. I think he's better than Marcus Mariota. I don't think he's as safe as a Leonard Williams, but they need a QB. They lost Josh McCown, says his brother. Josh McCown to the Browns. So I think getting Jameis Winston will help their team, and I think that would be a good fit.
And he has a lot of weapons. I agree with the pick overall. I think he's the best option for them. They have Mike Evans, Vincent Jackson, Al-Safari, Jenkins, a tight end, and Doug Martin, a running back. So they have a packed crowd. I think he can excel a little bit with them, and he's a better option than Mariota right now. We're going to send it over to Cody Benjamin and Dimitri George and see what they think of that.
I'm Cody Benjamin. This is Dimitri George. We're going to jump right into it. Going to Jameis Winston, kind of just the prototypical quarterback. Obviously, Marcus Mariota might be a target for Tampa Bay, but when you look at his size, his skill set, obviously the character concerns are there. We saw the downfall of Johnny Manziel this year in the NFL. But if he can right those character concerns and mature, especially as he grows as an NFL quarterback, it seems like the right pick for Tampa Bay, kind of the guy at quarterback there, and a fit that seems to make sense to me.
Yeah, Cody, you mentioned Jameis Winston, and like I said, they've got a lot of talent on this team, definitely on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that they just are missing that franchise quarterback. Mike Glennon's not the answer. Josh McCown's already out of town for them. Lovie Smith's first year is one to not to remember. Going 2-14, obviously, holding the first overall pick. If they trust Jameis Winston can be a professional on and off the field, I think he is the best choice for them at number one. You talk about Mariota, but to me, I think Jameis Winston has more upside. Obviously, he turned the ball over a lot. That's an alarming rate at Florida State, but I feel like, to me, you can obviously work out some of the kinks that he has in his game mechanically, footwork, and just decision making. Obviously, he has to get better with that because you can't turn the ball over as much as he did in the NFL and succeed. So, to me, Jameis Winston would be the ideal selection for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if I was Lovie Smith and that organization.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone would kind of be shocked if it wasn't Winston at number one.
Yeah, they could definitely have a ripple effect on the draft.
Like you said, even aside from the character concerns, he's not a perfect prospect.
No,
I mean, he's
by any means.
No means
we've talked
an Andrew Luck, an RG3, even when RG3 was coming out.
We've talked, I said that this is the most uncertainty I feel like I've seen in the last couple of years with this draft. Like there's guys that could be surefire, Pro Bowlers, all pro, but in terms of the quarterback position, you're really both with Winston and Mariota. You're not exactly sure.
Yeah, and we know quarterback is often, we've seen in the first round, people will be willing to reach for quarterbacks because the position is valued that much. But like you said, he's not an Andrew Luck. But still, even if he would slide past one, I don't think Tennessee would hesitate to take him either. But like we said, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we think it fits. Jameis Winston, just the ideal quarterback at the top of this class.
And the second overall pick is owned by the Tennessee Titans. But they may not take who you think they're going to take, but I think. So who do you think Marcus Mariota goes to?
I think he's going to go to the Jets just because Tennessee Titans going to pass up on him, get Leonard Williams. That's who I believe. But the Jets, they need a QB. They have Geno Smith, but he hasn't proven anything. Now the Eagles, they can move up to get him, but I think the Jets going to keep him unless the Eagles give him their whole entire draft. But I think Marcus Mariota is going to go to the Jets.
I think the Jets really want Marcus Mariota, but I think that there's going to be some trade bait along there. I think the Titans are going to see who wants that pick, what they're really going to get back for him. But I think the Jets really want him. They don't believe in Geno Smith that much. You see him throw 21 picks last year. It is not the best option. But I know Dimitri George and Cody Benjamin have a lot to say about that overall pick.
Marcus Mariota, we have them. Obviously, he's going to be kind of set the tone, I feel like. We had Jameis Winston. If the Buccaneers go with him as projected at number one, Marcus Mariota might set the tone for the rest of the first round just because of the rumors. We've had San Diego linked to them. In this mock, we're kind of looking at the Eagles coming up. But obviously the Titans there, too, could consider him, too. A very different quarterback prospect than Jameis Winston. Obviously, Jameis is more of the prototypical type at quarterback, whereas Marcus, you kind of have to see. I guess it all depends on whether you believe he can play in your system. And if we're talking about the Eagles, I guess there's no better system to play in than Chip Kelly's. But the question is, can he succeed outside of that system? I think if he's in an offense like Chip Kelly's, he's going to be able to run, obviously, that option kind of offense. And that's where you play to his strengths. But I still think he could be a good quarterback elsewhere. It depends if we're looking at if the Eagles made the right pick here, how much they gave up. Obviously, we've debated, or people have debated all offseason about how much you should give up to go get a quarterback. Some people make the argument that if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. But we see that the RG3 deal a couple years ago with the Redskins obviously didn't pan out. So it's kind of a toss-up. You have to just see how it plays out.
Right, and I think Marcus Mariota can be a good quarterback. I do have concerns if he can fit a pro-style system. He's a great athlete, no questions about it. My question is, can he play with inside the pocket? Can he go through his reads and his first instinct is to take off and get outside the pocket and start running? There's been a lot of situations I've seen on film where he's had open receivers in the middle of the field or wherever they may be, and he's chosen to run. In the NFL, those windows are a lot smaller. And it's a lot faster. Obviously, here it's like a really big cliche for me when rookies come in. They say the speed of the game is one of the biggest difference from college to the pros. But Marcus Mariota, obviously, you can have Winston and Mariota 1 and 2, however you pick. It's all about who you prefer. But Marcus Mariota, I think to me, his best chance to succeed early on is definitely with Philadelphia. But I'm curious to see, like you said, he might not set off just for the first round. He might set the tone for the entire draft with this pick. So. I'm definitely interested to see what happens with Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, and you mentioned the comparison with Winston. Obviously, the intangibles, there's kind of no comparison there. Marcus Mariota may be the safer pick.
Right.
But as far as football, sometimes those skills just don't translate once you reach the professional level. But obviously, depending on what the Eagles give up, could be the ideal fit for him, though, in that system.
And now the guys that catch the footballs. We're going to talk about 2 excellent receivers. The first one, who do you think goes first out of Kevin White and Amari Cooper?
I have Kevin White going first just because the Raiders' history, they like the explosive big receivers. Amari Cooper, he's a good route runner, but just Kevin White's size and the speed, I think that's going to make him a better prospect than Amari Cooper.
Yeah, Kevin White really excelled last year at West Virginia. I think that they do want him. He's a big receiver. He's 6'3", over 250 pounds easy. He had a very good 40-yard dash. He ran a 4.4. He had over 1,300 yards and 105 catches last year. He's going to be an excellent receiver in the NFL, and if Derek Carr can get him, I think that Derek Carr can excel a lot more in the second round. But Cody and Dimitri, what do you guys think?
Jumping to another wide receiver behind Amari Cooper, maybe the consensus number 2 receiver in this draft, Kevin White, going to the Chicago Bears. This might be the match made in heaven. I know there's a lot of different prospects that fit different teams in the first round, but the Bears need a wide receiver after getting rid of Brandon Marshall. What better guy to pair with Alshon Jeffrey than a guy who's got decent size at 6'3", and obviously, like you mentioned earlier when we were talking about Amari Cooper, not as polished necessarily, doesn't have as big of a resume necessarily at the level that he played at recently, but Kevin White, at number 7, I think you get good value there because he's got maybe the most upside of any receiver prospect in this draft, and obviously Chicago needs somebody else to throw into that offense.
Right, and the Chicago Bears have a lot of needs. Obviously, with the quarterback position, you don't know what you're getting from Jay Cutler. They have a new coach and head coach, John Fox, coming over from Denver. You look at Kevin White, you hit all the points I was going to make. Very high potential guy. You want to talk about a guy that can be a Julio Jones type. This guy's a big, strong, fast receiver. He ran something in the 4.3s at the combine, something that I don't think a lot of scouts thought he was going to run. But my only question is one-year wonder. He's a JUCO transfer from Lackawanna College, and I just think, in that open offense in West Virginia with Daniel Holgerson, I just think he could potentially be, top receiver in the game in a few years down the road. But questions about his hands, his route running ability, these are the things he's going to work on. Excuse me, he'll have time to work on them in the professional level. But for the Bears, if they were to get this, I think it's a high risk, high reward pick. Yeah. To me, I just think that there's a lot of other needs that they could explore. However, if they do get Kevin White and it ends up working out, it could be a steal of the draft as well.
I mean, if you're looking at the value, I guess they do have other needs, and I guess like you said though, the wide receiver class is so deep. I mean, it was last year, this year.
They could find somebody in the later rounds.
And nowadays you've seen receivers kind of adjust more quickly to the NFL.
Right.
And if that's a trend, maybe you don't go for Kevin White, but if you're confident that he can develop into a Julio Jones type or whatever you said.
Right, he's going to go in the top 10. Like I said, I think he's going to be a terrific player. There's just questions about, because he's a one-year wonder, because he played in that spread offense, and like I said, with Amari Cooper being the safer pick and being a more consistent performer throughout his year at Alabama, I think Kevin White has the potential to be the best receiver in this class, obviously, but a lot of work to be done in terms of his craft.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen mixed results from kind of those raw prospects at wide receiver over the last few years, but I think we both agree Kevin White, a good pick for the Chicago Bears at number 7.
Thank you guys. Some great insight right there. Now, on to Amari Cooper. What do you think about him? Where is he going?
I think he's going to go to the Chicago Bears just because I think you can either put Kevin White in Chicago, but they need a receiver. Just lost Brandon Marshall. They got Alshon Jeffrey with Amari Cooper beside him. I think they'll be a dynamic duo, so I think he can go to Chicago.
Yeah, Amari Cooper, I think he's the best receiver in the draft, but I think that he doesn't really fit Oakland's scheme as much as we would hope they do. He had a tremendous year. He was third in the Heisman last year, so that says it all for himself. But him, Alshon Jeffrey, Martellus Bennett, and Matt Forte, I think Jay Cutler could be a little bit better. I think Brandon Marshall was aging a little bit last year, and he needs a new receiver and some new faces there in Chicago to make that a lot easier of a year. But we're going to see what Dimitri George and Cody Benjamin think about that pick.
All right, Amari Cooper, maybe the safest wide receiver prospect in this draft. I don't think anyone would debate that. Oakland at number 4, an interesting spot for him. We've known kind of the Raiders for years have been willing to go maybe with the speedy guy, but here maybe this is a better pick at wide receiver than they've made in previous years. Amari Cooper, not the fastest guy, the most athletic, but he's going to get the job done. And obviously he does have athleticism enough to, just not necessarily as much as some of the other prospects. But it's kind of depends on who's on the board there. If Leonard Williams, a guy like that, is on the board, if you're Oakland, I would kind of question whether you're, kind of reaching there for a receiver. But obviously Amari Cooper, a talented player, somebody to give Derek Carr a weapon in that offense. So it's debatable. Amari Cooper, I think wherever he goes can succeed, but with Oakland, I think it's a matter of taking the best player available here, and that would be Leonard Williams.
Right, and Reggie McKenzie, the GM for the Oakland Raiders, is a guy that doesn't necessarily always – he takes the best player available, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. He's not a guy that's going to draft for need. He's not going to reach for somebody if just because it's a need. And I think there's some kind of a buzz going around with Oakland that they could, take a couple steps. Obviously, with Jack Del Rio, the new head coach, they found their quarterback in Derek Carr, who I think is going to be a solid NFL quarterback. You talk about Khalil Mack, who they got last year in the first round, really panned out and really got after the quarterback for the Raiders. So with Amari Cooper, I think giving your quarterback, your young quarterback, a safety blanket, a guy that I think is the most polished receiver in this class. Everyone wants to talk about Kevin White and his potential. If you want a guy that's going to come in day one and produce for you, I think Amari Cooper is your guy. The guy is a great route runner, really solid hands. He played in the SEC, and he's been a consistent performer. He's not the one-year wonder like Kevin White is. He's been consistent throughout his career, and I just think Amari Cooper is the safest pick at the wide receiver position, especially for Oakland, who has missed with guys like Darius Hayward-Bay, just to name one. But I think Amari Cooper would definitely give Derek Carr and that offense a boost if they added him in the draft.
Would you go as far to say that he's on the level of a Sammy Watkins, or I know Julio Jones is maybe a stretch, but he's kind of got the same build as a Julio Jones.
It's Amari Cooper to me. It's tough. That's a good question. You talk about Sammy Watkins. I mean, just talk about the entire draft wide receiver class last year. Sammy Watkins, Odell Beckham Jr., right. Jordan Matthews, guys, Jarvis Landry, guys, and list goes on from last year. I think Amari Cooper in this draft class, which has said to be a pretty solid wide receiver class again, which seems to be the norm, I think he's just the safest pick. I'm not going to put him in the category of a Sammy Watkins or Julio Jones just yet. I just think in this draft, he's the most polished route runner, solid hands. He's just been a consistent performer. He's not a one-year wonder, as I mentioned. I just think he's the best, wide receiver in this class. And I know Kevin White's close, but I just think I would go with Amari Cooper.
Yeah, maybe not their biggest need, but obviously with a guy like Cooper, maybe you can afford to take that chance with a wide receiver in the first round.
Right.
Thank you, guys. Some great insight right there again. And now we're going to talk about a defensive lineman out of USC at 6'4", 302 pounds. He's a large human, and his name is Leonard Williams. Where do you think he goes in the draft?
I got him going the second pick in the draft. I think he's the safest pick out of all the draft picks, and he plays a valuable position, the D-tackle position, and he can move along the D-line. So I think he will go second to Tennessee.
I think he is the best interior defensive lineman in this draft. He had 13 sacks his junior year, 12 sacks his senior year. He's an outstanding player. He's large and he's mobile, and that's something that all teams want on their defensive line. But we're going to see what Cody and Dimitri think of that pick and where they think he'll go.
Back with Leonard Williams here. Just mentioned him when we were talking about Amari Cooper. Have him going to the Redskins. Kind of an interesting team here because we remember a few years ago, a little while back now, they had the Albert Haynesworth fiasco. But this guy, not on the same level character-wise, but maybe talent-wise, I've seen more comparisons to maybe a 3-4 defensive end, somebody like a Fletcher Cox, maybe a J.J. Watt. And obviously those are lofty comparisons, but if you're the Redskins and you're at 5, I know they've kind of fooled around a little bit saying that they're interested in a quarterback or trading back. Yeah. But if Leonard Williams is on the board, why not? I think if any team up there sees him or is available, and I think why not add him to the front, the front part of your defense. He's a guy that, as long as he's going to mature at the professional level, I think could be one of those guys, like a Fletcher Cox, a J.J. Watt. So
Leonard Williams is a guy that some experts have as their top overall prospect. This guy is very position flexible. He can play 4-3 inside. He can play the 3-4 outside. It's really whatever you prefer, what you play. And Washington, obviously, if they were able to land Leonard Williams at 5, I think that's a steal. I think they definitely struggled on defense, last year. And now they have a new defensive coordinator in Washington. I just think Leonard Williams has great hands. You can't really move him. It's just going to be a dominant force in the NFL. And I think if the Redskins were able to land him, I think that can completely change their entire landscape of their defense, especially on the front seven after losing Orakpo this year in the offseason.
Yeah, well, I mean, it starts in the trenches, and as long as he lives up to his athleticism, his potential, I think, like you said, could be a big move for the Redskins at 5.
Thank you, Cody and Dimitri. And now we're going to talk about a linebacker out of Clemson that's moving up a lot of draft boards lately. He was projected as a late first-round pick early this year. Now he's projected to finish in the top 10. Where do you think Vic Beasley out of Clemson goes?
I think Vic Beasley will go to the Saints at 13th, but I see a lot of teams reaching for him, like Atlanta. They can reach for the top 10 just because of his pure athleticism. 4.3, and he ran a 4.5 and a 40. I think 35 bench press at the combine. So I see him as the 13th to 8th.
Yeah, I like Atlanta Falcons to take him a lot in this draft. I think he'd be a great fit. He has the size, he has the speed of every linebacker. He put up double-digit sacks for 2 years in a row. He was an All-American, All-ACC player. He's fantastic, and I think a lot of teams are going to want to move up in the draft or reach for him because he's a safe player and he has a safe attitude, which a lot of teams will want him for. We're going to see what Dimitri and Cody think of that pick right here next.
Jumping to the pass rushing rotation, a lot of high-profile outside linebackers and defensive ends in this draft. The Falcons at number 8. Getting Vic Beasley, I kind of view that as a steal. I mean, some teams might want to try and move up for him. Obviously, you've got Dante Fowler ahead of him on most people's, the big boards of the prospects. But the Falcons need a pass rusher. I know we talked about Brooks Reed coming to Atlanta. I don't think no amount of Brooks Reed's fans could convince us that the Falcons don't need another pass rusher.
That's garbage. If they think they got Brooks Reed, that's going to be their pass rusher, then they're nuts.
Well, if they land Vic Beasley, though, I mean, maybe not as much to worry about. Obviously, that guy, he explodes off the line, somebody that could really help the front of that defense. And obviously with Dan Quinn there, I'm sure he would like to add a piece like that. If he's available at 8, it's kind of hard to tell where some of these pass rushers will go because there's so many of them here. But if Atlanta gets him at 8, I think that's a great pick for them.
Oh, absolutely. If Atlanta gets him at 8, like I said earlier, the Marcus Mariota situation at 2 is definitely going to set the scene for the rest of the draft, in my opinion. And if the Falcons, as you mentioned, with Dan Quinn now coming over from Seattle, that very aggressive defense that they had up in Seattle, now with Atlanta, who's got some pieces, definitely on offense, we know what they have, but on defense, he's obviously added some pieces on that are going to fit his scheme. Vic Beasley is a guy that I think the main question was, what's his playing weight? I think he played in the 230s.
He's a little lighter.
He's a little light in the rear end, and I think he needs it. He obviously bulked up a little bit. I think he was up 10 to 15 pounds at the combine. And if he can play at around 250, obviously he's going to get stronger with years in the NFL, but setting that edge and playing the run effectively is going to be whether he's just on pass rushing downs or if he's going to be a 3-down player for the Falcons if he ends up at the Falcons.
I mean, with you mentioning that weight, maybe they play him in kind of a Bruce Irvin type of role, just pass rushing, and especially with Dan Quinn there.
Right,
too.
but the question is he worth taking at 8 if he's only playing 1 down?
I mean, maybe you start him out in that role and try and have him develop. I guess it depends how badly you want just a pass rushing specialist. Another team to keep an eye on, we mentioned Leonard Williams earlier. If Leonard Williams isn't on the board for the Redskins at 5, maybe they consider Vic Beasley, having lost Brian Orakpo too. But I think we both agree again, the Falcons could definitely use a guy like Vic Beasley, and good value at 8th overall selection.
And next, we have a 6'1", 236-pound running back that tore his ACL, but he's still wanted by a lot of NFL teams, and that's Todd Gurley. What do you think? What do you make of him and his injury and where he'll go in the draft?
I'm not sure where he's going to fall in the draft, but I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to go after him just because they need a running back. They've signed Jerry McFadden, but they don't really have a true running back. I think they'll move up to get him. I'm not sure if they're going to let him slide down to them, but I think he's going to be picked up just because he's a top 10 talent. So I think Todd Gurley is going to the Cowboys.
I think the Cowboys would be a very good fit for Todd Gurley. I think a lot of teams are going to be wary of his ACL, but I think it's recovered enough that teams are going to be able to take the chance on him. I think he's a first-round running back for sure, but I like the San Diego Chargers at number 17 to take him. I think that he would be a great fit. They just lost Ryan Matthews to the Eagles, so I think that it would be a good decision for them to take him. But a lot of teams are going to be wary of that knee, so it's going to be interesting to see. We're going to see what Cody and Dimitri think about his knee and his draft stock.
So Todd Gurley, obviously running backs have kind of seemed to be devalued lately in drafts, but this is a guy that if he can stay healthy, a lot of comparisons to Marshawn Lynch. Chargers are a team that, I mean, they have running backs, but it's kind of a plethora of middle-of-the-road backs.
Right.
What was Donald Brown, Brandon Oliver, and Danny Woodhead. So
they lost Ryan Matthews this year.
yeah, and the funny thing about that is Ryan Matthews, when he's healthy, maybe he's a top 10 back.
Absolutely.
But Todd Gurley, obviously the health question marks, if he can solve those, or at least maybe they balance him.
Tremendous running back.
If they balance him with that workload that they have already there, I think that's a great pick. And at 17, that's a good thing. If Phillip Rivers is there too, a nice guy for him to lean on in the backfield.
You talk about Todd Gurley, big-time performer in the SEC at the University of Georgia. Like you said, the issue is the injury concern. Obviously, coming off a torn ACL. You know, Todd Gurley, to me, as you mentioned, the running back position is being devalued in the NFL tremendously. And I think if he were to go, there's talks about Gurley and also Melvin Gordon going in the first round. I think that'll be the first time we've had a running back selected in the first round in a few years. I can't remember the exact exact year it was, but this would be a first time in a while that we've had a running back selected in the first round. And I think Todd Gurley definitely fits the bill. If he stays healthy, you know, the Marshawn Lynch comparison is a good one. He is a bruiser. He's going to run, you know, in between the tackles, a no-nonsense runner. And I think, you know, the Chargers have really missed that since LT left. And obviously LT was a different kind of player, but Todd Gurley could be just as special as LaDainian Tomlinson if he stays healthy.
Yeah, I mean, he's not a small guy, 236 pounds. And I know we've talked about the running back position being devalued, maybe in the draft, but if you look back at the playoff teams, a lot of those guys had big bruising backs. Obviously, Marshawn Lynch and LeGarrette Blount were in the Super Bowl. So if Todd Gurley's there, which I would expect him to be at the you know, the 17, the mid to teen area of the first round, I think San Diego makes a nice pick with that.
And now we're going to talk about the people that we agreed on. Byron Jones going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why do you think he fits there, and why do you think the Steelers will draft him?
Just because they lost Ike Taylor. They didn't really have great production at the end of the season from their corner position, and Byron Jones is a freak of nature athlete, athletic-wise. And Ike Taylor was a great athlete when he came into the league. So I think he can replace Ike Taylor. He 12-foot broad jump. I think he will be a great replacement. Got to work on his cover skills, but I think he should be fine. Yeah,
12'3" broad jump, which was a combine record. It's amazing. He's a freak athlete as himself. He's 6'1", 196 pounds, so he has great size already. He only had 8 interceptions in his career, which was kind of low for a cornerback that's going to go in the first round, but he has great cover skills. Something the Pittsburgh Steelers really need because we saw them get shredded last year. But we're going to see what Dimitri George and Cody Benjamin think of Byron Jones going to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
For our last one, we're looking at who the Steelers took, cornerback Byron Jones out of UConn. An interesting prospect because before the Combine, I don't know that a lot of people really talked about him much because he obviously had that incredible. Do you remember the
don't steal my thunder. Don't steal my thunder.
You can take that away.
Let me tell you a little something about Byron Jones. Listen, I think he was definitely a potential mid-round pick. I'd say second or third.
Yeah.
But what he did at the Combine with that ridiculous broad jump.
Give me the numbers.
I don't know the numbers. I just know that he jumped from one end to the other, and it was smooth, and I've never seen anything like it. He was a freak athlete at the Combine, and I think that made teams and scouts go back, watch the film, and they've realized this guy's a first-round pick, you know, and that the freak athleticism is that's not all he is. He's a solid football player. Now, we all know the Steelers have 2 great needs in this draft. Yeah. Cornerback and outside linebacker.
Both of them could be there, too.
And exactly, you know, you never know how the board falls. Like I said, everything goes back to number 2. What happens with the Mariota situation, because you never know what pass rushers are going off the board, cornerback going off the board. So, and the Steelers always take the best player available. Now, like I said, Byron Jones, freak athletics, but still he backs it up on film. I think the Steelers will be happy with him. He's a different kind of corner that the Steelers have typically, you know, wanted in their cornerbacks, a physical guy willing to come up and support and run support, excuse me. But like I said, Byron Jones, a very fluid athlete, going to make a lot of plays on the ball. It'll be interesting to see, like you said, how the board falls. Because if there's an outside linebacker on the board, we all know the Steelers, you know, their whole philosophy is if they can get pressure on the quarterback, you don't necessarily need a top-flight cornerback because if the quarterback's only got 2 seconds, it doesn't matter who's out there.
Right. And I know you said an important point you made was that it's more than athleticism. And we've seen a lot of athleticism, but maybe not the most physical guy at cornerback,
Right.
which differs from their typical, I guess, model at cornerback. But maybe that's a good thing. You know, maybe you switch.
No more Dick LeBeau. You got Keith Butler in, so you know. Right. I mean, and it's relative. It's going to be pretty much the same defense, but there's going to be new wrinkles. And you know, it's Kevin Colbert in his pre-draft press conference with Mike Tomlin said that Keith Butler was only in on the evaluations of linebackers in previous drafts because he was a linebackers coach. Now he's taking in the defensive linemen, the linebackers, as well as the secondary, corners and safeties. So if Keith Butler, this is the kind of guy he wants for his defense, then he'll obviously be thrilled to have him if Byron Jones is the pick at 22.
Yeah, and you said, obviously, for the Steelers, best player available. I guess it all depends on where you rank Byron Jones because I'm sure for different teams, he's up and down the board, like you said, because he was maybe a mid-round projected kind of guy. But a big offseason for him, and we'll just see how it plays out on Thursday.
And that's all the time we have for the NFL Draft Special, the Red Zone Recap. I'm Vaughn Delzell alongside Kelsey Howard, Cody Benjamin, and Dimitri George in the other studio with us. Make sure you watch the draft Thursday, 8 p.m. in Chicago for the first time. We're going to send it over to Josh Hill with the senior send-off. Stay tuned. This is the big hit. Oh, hey, Devontae. I've been working on something, man. I want you to check it out.
Keep working on that.
Okay.
Where'd you get IUP gear?
At the co-op store.
Where's that?
Norm will show you.
Show your IUP spirit no matter where you are or where you're going. Norm has been busy with his plan to get everyone to show their IUP spirit. He's pumping up students and fans to show their support by attending and being fanatics at IUP sporting events. The first thing you need to do is get to the co-op store. For the largest selection of anything IUP, shop the co-op store or visit us online at www.iupstore.com.
So guys, with the tournament coming up, what are IUP's chances this year?
I think they have a really good chance because the PSAC is not that strong compared to IUP. IUP moves the ball a lot quicker than most teams. They're very well-rounded. They've been playing together for a while. They've got a lot of big-time transfers. So I think that they have the edge over most of their opponents simply because they have experience. Experience gives you the edge any day of the week. So that's definitely why I think they can win the PSAC tournament for sure. What do you think, Norm?
Bringing it back in here to the big hit. We just had our NFL Draft Special, and now it's time for part one of our senior send-off. We've got a couple of groups here to send off the right way on our final show this school year with Dimitri George, Danielle Everly, Freddie Mitchell. I'm Josh Hill. Guys, your final time on air here at the Big Hit. I know you guys have served in a variety of ways for a few years here on the Big Hit as well. So my first question to you is, what is the best memory you have, if you can name one memory that is your favorite here on the Big Hit?
Well, Zeus, I tell you, it's been I'm sorry, it's Josh Hill. It's been a good experience for me, definitely. I've definitely learned a lot. I feel like I've learned more here than being in an actual classroom. There's definitely a lot of potential to expand your skills, working behind the scenes, working on the camera, and even on air. So to have one memory, I don't think I can single out one. I think it's just overall been a great experience.
All right, well, I agree with Dimitri. I would have to say probably one of my best memories, though, would be directing my first segment. That was pretty cool, stepping up, getting that done, and just hanging out with everybody was always so much fun.
I think one of my favorite memories was, I think it was either freshman or sophomore year. I think it was freshman year. The Castro was the host, and we were doing a live segment, or a live show. We actually did a live show, and it was me and Goose going on air together. And Goose is like, yo, are you nervous, dude? I'm like, and I'm sitting there like, no, man, it's just like a regular show. Like, just like how it is always, except for it's live, so you can't mess up. And I'm like telling Goose, like, we're all good. And then, like, here's me, like, am I actually nervous as all hell, too? Like, we're about to go on, and we did the segment. I think we were talking about basketball or something, and we went off with a bang. But that was awesome that we did a live show. That was probably one of my favorite moments. Also, another great moment was probably at the end of freshman year, the after party at Nicastro's house. The good old big hit party. I'll miss those. That was a good time as well.
Always a classic, those big hit parties. But at this show, how do you think it has benefited you working here for the Big Hit? Because this is an opportunity that not a lot of people get. You guys have taken it and definitely ran with the opportunity.
You know, as I mentioned earlier, it's a great experience. And like I said, you know, I don't want to take anything away from actual in-class, you know, work that you do with your time here at IUP, but definitely being here, working with the hands-on, working cameras, working with people, editing, all that stuff you can do. And it's honestly been a privilege. Not a lot of students can say that they've been able to actually get to touch the equipment, work with people, and work with other students. So it's just overall been great to learn. I learned a lot from Danielle, a lot from everybody. Every year I feel like I've grown in different aspects. And it's like I said, it's been a great experience.
Yeah, the hands-on is definitely a great thing. But for me, I never pictured myself going into anything dealing with sports. So it's really opened my eyes to how great it is and how interesting it is to kind of see that world and work on a show that deals with sports. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think like up to my sophomore year, it's probably the most like real life, real world, real job experience that like I ever got. Obviously, took some other like video production classes that have enhanced that, but Big Hit was probably one of the best things I ever did at IUP because the fact that, first of all, you make a ton of friends in your major that you probably wouldn't make otherwise. It's a good connection. And like you guys have said, you just learn everything from everyone that's older than you. You take a little bit from each and every individual person, and you kind of mold that into make your own, what you want to be skillful-wise. So I definitely think the Big Hit has set me up for years to come, for sure.
No question. You talk about setting yourself up for years to come. So here's kind of the coup de grace of this senior send-off. What are your future plans? What happens after graduation?
Well, and the internship process has been very stressful. However, I will be going back home to Jersey, and I'll be working with a guy who represents Shamarko Thomas, a player for the Steelers, and I'll be doing some kind of public relations, helping build Shamarko's brand, working on his website, working with his football camp this summer. So I'm definitely excited for that, opportunity. Not something I was, ever thought I'd be doing right after graduation. I'd like to be in some kind of broadcasting, whether it be TV or radio. Obviously in the sports field as well. But so for right now, my plans are to go home, get my internship, and after that, I'm willing to go wherever, whenever, to whatever job I can get. It's not about the money for me. I just love doing what I do.
Yeah, I've started an internship with Root Sports.
Yes.
A couple weeks ago. So I'll just be doing that all summer, cutting up some out-of-town highlights for the Pirates and for...
Oh, don't undersell it.
Doing
big things at Root.
For the broadcast. It's pretty cool. It's stressful, live TV. It's completely different than here. It's basically actually this just...
But real.
Yeah,
and
real.
You
Huge.
can't mess up because you can't come back.
Yeah.
Would you make a movie too? You just made a movie?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah, let's just throw that on the web.
SFA. But I also have like a photography business that I'll probably continue to get that extra, money to actually be an adult in the real world, so...
Yeah, I personally have a few things lined up right now. Nothing's like solidified yet. I'm waiting to hear back from the minor league team of the Baltimore Orioles, do video production there. Or my other top lead right now is in Mission Viejo, California, working in the OC studio. So that'd be kind of cool if we get that. So I'm just waiting to hear back. It's hard though. It's a process applying all these places, and they're just like asking you all these questions, and it takes a while. So I completed my internship last year for the school, so I'm working on some big boy things now, I guess.
Yeah, no question about it. And Danielle, I know you're one of a litany of people from the Big Hit who have worked at Root Sports. Of course, Pat Yesko, Mike Nicastro, all guys who have worked at Root Sports as well. So people from the Big Hit going out doing big things and know the future very bright for all three of you. Any final words before we close out this senior send-off here, guys?
I just thank everybody for all your help and support and being just a great group of people to work with. And I've learned a lot from you guys, and hopefully you learned something from me. And like I said, it was just a big thank you.
Yeah, just thank you to everybody. I mean, like I never imagined myself being in a leadership role, and everybody on this show helped me through that, and it was a great experience.
I never thought I'd be on air with Danielle, so that's awesome. But yeah, definitely a big shout out. But like most of the people that that we looked up to have graduated and moved on, but hopefully people that were here could learn something from all of us throughout our 4 years here.
Yeah.
And shout out to Mom and Dad for watching sometimes.
Yeah, gotta love Mom and Dad watching. They're really a big part of our fan base as well. So I think I speak for all of the underclassmen when I say thank you to all three of you. You guys have been tremendous assets to the show. We wish you the best of luck in the future as well. That will do it for part one of our senior send-off. When we come back, we'll have 3 more seniors to send off here on our final show this year. It's The Big Hit.
Out of all the bird teams in the NFL, I really like the Cardinals. The Seahawks and the Falcons, oh, no chance.
If it were up to me, I would eliminate all bird mascots altogether. Like, none. No more. I'm over it. It's not even that great or a scary mascot. It's not that impressive. You know, it really bugs me that these teams have these type of bird mascots. Like, what is a bird? You know, what's the point of it? I don't get it. You know, I go fly around into a tree. I don't understand it. It just makes no sense to me that a team.
Listen, all I'm saying is LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan.
Why did everybody get so quiet?
It's hard to explain. It just became home. There are hundreds of majors and programs, bachelor's degrees to PhDs, small classes and faculty that really get to know you. Amazing internships and everywhere, programs that help to find a job that is right for you. It's what IUP is about, a commitment to your success. See it for yourself. Visit us, Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Find your success.
Today I'm going to talk about Patty. Patty's best characteristics, she's stupid. Stupid and ugly. Everything she does is ugly. Watch her eat. Watch her stuff her face. Look at her. Greasy hair, dirty fingernails. It makes me want to vomit. Get a life, Patty. Thank you.
And welcome back into The Big Hit, ladies and gentlemen. Part 2 of 3 of our senior send-offs here. Final show of the year. We're joined by Mike Gosnell, Ben Snyder, and Kelsey Howe. A lot of guys who are behind the scenes. Speaking of behind the scenes, want to thank everyone behind the scenes all year long. Our camera operators, Marcus Hawkins, Sarah Rudy, Randy Epstein, Logan Custer, everyone in the control room as well. Thank you for all your hard work. But guys, let's get into this senior send-off here. Last time on air here on IUP-TV. I don't know if you want to call that a blessing or a curse. I guess we'll find out here. We'll begin, same formula as last time. What is the best memory that you have had here from your time on the Big Hit? I know you guys have been here for quite a while.
Looking back 4 years, yeah, that's kind of difficult. But I think it was last year when I did the Rivalry Rampage segment with Melissa Essing, me representing the New York Rangers and her representing the Pittsburgh Penguins. That was really fun. It was a new idea. I'm not sure who came up with that one. That was a pretty good idea. That ranks up there. I think my first show, my freshman year of fall of 2011, that also ranks up there. But it's hard to distinguish between one or the other. It's just been really fun here. Memories to last a lifetime for sure.
Actually, I think I was the one who texted Danielle that way back when about the Rivalry Rampage segment.
That was you?
I think it was me, so you're welcome for that.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
But yeah, my biggest memory of Big Hit was last year, I think, during the Olympics, when we did the whole bracket thing for the teams in the gold medal round. And I think it was just a good segment with me and Melissa and with you too. And just
Was that part of that?
I think
don't
for
remember.
1 or 2 segments.
Maybe
not,
one or two ones.
Maybe not the medal round, but like at least for the group stages.
Prelims.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that was my favorite time, just going over the Olympics because it was a good time of the year. It was very exciting for all of us, and yeah.
I don't have a favorite moment. I think just meeting you guys is I think I've been on the Big Hit for 3 years. I'm a 5th-year student, but I wasn't in comm immediately. So meeting you guys have been around past like forever. So I think all my friends I've like gained from being in the Big Hit was probably my favorite moments.
Yeah, I think that's been kind of a consistent thing. A lot of the relationships, working with people for 4 or 5 years, of course, that's going to happen. But let's move on to our next question here and look at how the Big Hit has benefited you as a professional, as somebody who wants to go out into the field and land a job sometime.
I agree with what Dimitri said. I think this benefits you more so than the classroom atmosphere does, because you're reading books and taking notes, but here you're dealing with equipment, hopefully that you don't break, and you're dealing with, deadlines and stuff like that, and content and scripts if you're working on a show with scripts. It's really invaluable for me. It helped me land not a job, but an internship with the Johnstown Tomahawks. Working behind the scenes with graphics really helped me in that regard. That's where I can really say IUP-TV really helped me. And hopefully in the near future, if I move on somewhere, I can say that this really helped me land that job.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I think working with IUP-TV is the biggest thing in like all of IUP basically, is taking the hands-on approach for this, getting to work with the cameras, work with the boards, work with anything you want to do in here. And I feel like for me especially, I came into comm media a couple years ago. Like Kelsey, I was originally not part of the comm media department, but I changed majors into that. And joining it last year, I didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. And when I joined IUP-TV, specifically with the Crimson Hawk Sports Network with you doing football last year, along with the Big Hit, I think I kind of found my calling in life is to work with sports broadcasting. So, yeah.
The experience is like working with IUP-TV and just like talking on camera and just being able to just express yourself about sports. And it helped me want to join radio, sports radio, which was great. And then the opportunity, I think, to work with the women's team came through the Big Hit. So like all these experiences and opportunities came from working with the Big Hit. So it's been great. I
will say that my one regret here is I never got into the Crimson Hawk Sports Network. That's the one thing I wish that I had done. Can't dwell on that now, but that is, if I have any regrets, that is one of them.
Yeah, no question about it, and that's so important. You hear that over and over again. You just have to take that first step, and I think for students coming in, that's really something. Take the first step, and a lot of different avenues and doors will open to you for sure. But let's close out this segment here for your final time by asking what your plans are for the future. What does the future hold for you?
Finished on my internship last year, so I'm on the job hunt. I have a few options opening up in the Northeast, hopefully, and nothing set in stone, obviously. Still got to go through the interview process and getting some applications in. But, I'm going to head back to Johnstown and relax a little bit, unwind, and then hopefully I hear something for the next couple weeks. And hopefully it's with hockey, because that's what I really want to do, and that's my passion. My calling in life is to work with the hockey team or in some aspects. But first and foremost, you got to unwind after May 9th when I graduate, and going back to Johnstown, seeing my family, and moving on from there.
Yeah, for me, I have an internship lined up this summer with a CMPR and IUP, so I'll be here all summer. And I live here too, so when I graduate later this year, I think I'm just going to look for jobs, and I don't really know what to expect in the job hunt. It's not been pretty so far for me, but I think I'm going to look somewhere in sports broadcasting, behind the scenes somewhere, maybe try for a local TV station, or anything's really possible for me as long as I get a job.
All right, and I have my internship. Well, because of the Big Hit, I was able to become the women's video coordinator, and because of that, I was able to get an internship over the summer with them. In Indiana, so I'll be here with you, Ben. So
nice.
Right now, I'll be around. So
that's good.
So yeah, so I have my internship, and then after that, I have family who work within comedy. I have a cousin that works for CNN, so talking to him and just working behind the scenes and stuff. So hopefully, after my internship, find a job and move on.
Yeah, we certainly wish you all the very best of luck. We also thank you for your tireless work here behind the scenes, on the camera, whatever needed done. You guys were all right there chomping at the bit to do it. We thank you for that. We commend you for it as well. Mike Gosnell, Ben Snyder, Kelsey Howe. We'll step out, come back with our final round of seniors here on the final show of this school year. It's the Big Hit, and we'll be right back.
Want to learn more about IUP-TV? We have the solution. IUP-TV is now online on Facebook. You can find us by simply searching Facebook for IUP-TV. Once you click like, you can check out your favorite shows on our IUP-TV showcase, view our broadcast schedule, get updates on everything about your favorite station, and tell us how much you love your favorite shows. IUP-TV, not like other stations.
How are they going to watch this when you are just in La La Land? This is embarrassing.
Is that bad?
Look at you.
You know, I thought this was a pretty good segment.
Did you? Yeah. Do you even know what they're saying?
No.
You're putting your foot up on set. Do you just think this is a couch? This is embarrassing. I mean, even here, you're starting to interrogate somebody. Look at you. Turn your back to the camera. That's embarrassing. Where's your suit and tie? You have a Pirates shirt on.
They made the playoffs.
I don't care. You can't be biased. This is ridiculous. Ay, Dios mío.
We're Steelers fans. I'm a Steelers fan. And we're Steelers fans. We're good sports. I'm a good sport.
I'm a good sport.
We always have
designated
drivers.
Steelers fans.
Steelers fans don't let fans drive drunk. Responsibility has its rewards. Responsibility has its rewards.
Go!
Go! Go Steelers! Go Steelers! Go Steelers!
Go Steelers!
Here at the Big Hit, we like to be prepared because sometimes technology doesn't always work, so we do what we can.
Hey, Sean, hit him up.
This just in, Tim Tebow just got inducted to the Hall of Fame. That's not right.
Maybe we need to prepare just a little more.
Welcome back into the Big Hit, lassoing our way back in here from commercial as we have our final segment of the school year, our final senior send-off as well, guys, with Dakota London, Marcus Hawkins, and Cowboy Kurt.
Yeah.
And that's the man of the hour right there, as I always say. So, guys, same formula as applied. You saw the other two senior send-offs, and I'd like to do the same for you guys. What is the best memory you've had here in your time with the Big Hit?
My best memory probably would be my first day because I knew a lot of people here before I joined the show, and I had always wanted to join, but because I worked for the department, I was really busy a lot of time. But I knew I wanted to do the show at least once before I graduated. So when I talked to Lucy, he was like, I don't know, man, you're really kind of busy. I don't know if you had the time. I was like, I'll make time. So when my first show, everybody, welcomed me, and I felt really comfortable, and, that was just probably my best memory.
I would have to say my first time coming to the show was my best moment because, transfer student into here, I'm the oldest one out of the cast here. Always done this as a hobby. So by me coming here and working on the actual camera, working in the studio helped me out with my hobby and better my skills because I do this also videography work as well for weddings, so this just helped me out. So I appreciate every moment here. So I would say the first day here was my favorite and most memorable moment.
Yeah, I'd have to go with the first time I was on air, because I remember the first time whenever I got to the show, Lucy and everyone was like, hey, if you have any ideas for segments, let me know. I go, oh, I got something for you. And I gave the idea of racing, and I was just like, let's do it. And we did it, and it was the best experience ever because it was just so much fun. And, same thing with me. I was a transfer student. I didn't get to spend all 4 years here, but still the time here was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, no question about it. Looking here at the Big Hit, how do you think it's benefited you? Because I know you've all really hit the ground running, haven't spent a ton of time here, but you've really made the time you've spent here count.
I think it benefited me because, I had done on air for the news station when we did IUP-TV for the news. But I think doing it here not only helped with my own air skills here, but when we did the broadcasting, Josh, we did it together. It really helped there just because it was just me talking about sports and I wasn't thinking as much. When I first joined the show, I was trying to think too much about what I was going to say. And after doing it, you know, time after time, it was kind of just talking sports like with the guys. So when we did, you know, IUP football, that's how it felt, you know. So that absolutely benefited there. And of course, it was nothing to put on my resume. And it actually led to me meeting a couple of people that have led to opportunities outside of the university. So I'm really glad I did the big hit.
For myself, it just helped me better my knowledge and skills of what I thought I was good at, but by working with the actual real camera, doing some editing work and work with the audio and graphics, you know, just add more to my resume of knowledge. I think with this, by doing this, I think I will be better at what I want to do in the future as well. So I enjoyed every moment of it. Can't complain at all.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed being able to, this was so interactive with hands-on experiences with working with the cameras, being in the control room, doing all that. And it was so great to be able to be a part of that and do so many different things that, you know, you were encouraged to do a lot of different things, and I have such a wide knowledge now of working with cameras, audio, and so on and so forth. And the big hit really helped me out with harnessing my skills.
Yeah, it's always good to harness the skills. That's what it's all about. That's what we're here for, guys.
Right.
So how are you going to harness your skills and hopefully turn it into a job someday? What are your future plans?
Well, I actually have a lot going on. I'll be interning at the company called Viva Creative in DC this summer. After that, I'll be working with a good friend of mine. His name is Kyle Goodwin. He won an Emmy for ESPN 30 for 30 last year, so he started his own company. So I'll be working with him, traveling around, doing some sports documentaries, as well as if Viva Creative, you know, offers me a full-time job. I'm not going to say no to that. I do intend to go back to school and get my master's in public policy. And I'll still be doing, you know, some freelance stuff like weddings and documentaries and such like that. So I have a busy schedule, but I look forward to it.
Well, my schedule is going to be a little busy in the future as well as a full-time employee of the United States Army. Also, you know, going to be taking classes online for IUP because I'm not a senior, but as a junior, I'm going to be taking classes out of town because I'm retiring and moving back down to South Carolina. So all my continuing education, IUP, will be online. Well, so while I'm down there, I want to continue doing my freelance work as a videographer, weddings and family reunions. And I'm trying to keep in contact with my professors here so I can try to get an internship at maybe a local TV station down in South Carolina. And once I do graduate from IUP, because that's my goal is to be IUP grad, I'm gonna try to get, once again, try to get a job at the local TV stations, not just as internship, but as a career, then move on to bigger and better things, maybe to instructional design videos, and also if my skills work out well, get a job at the Carolina Panthers working for them, even though I'm a Cowboy fan. But I will go there and work to, you know, help build my future.
You're willing to bite that bullet.
I will bite that bullet to help build my future. I got bills to pay, so I'll take it.
Well, Cowboy Kurt will be taking his expertise and everything else to the radio. I have an internship this summer with KDKA Radio, and you'll be working around with some country music stations, so that makes me very happy. I get to go to some concerts, and the plan pretty much is hopefully that turns into a full-time job and either get to do radio or TV, anything really. I love interactions. I love being a talent. I love this whole business, so hopefully it works out.
Yeah, I certainly speak for everyone. We wish you all the very best of luck. Don't be afraid to keep in touch. That does it here for our final senior send-off, and that does it here for the big hit this semester. We'd like to thank everyone behind the scenes, everyone on our crew who has made it possible. Come on in, guys. We'd like to ask you to enjoy the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball. We'll be coming to you here in September for the entire Big Hit family. We'll see you next time right here on the Big Hit. Good night, everybody. Oh my gosh, that's good. That's real good.
Bye, have a beautiful time.
And we're back.
We should have totally Stone Cold Steve Austin beers.
We'll play the Stone Cold theme song going out.
I'd like to wish you well
In
your
all
in all of your future endeavors.
And I'd like to wish you well.
What are we doing?
It's gotta be over there. They're gonna be like, we're gonna send it to the beach today.